wanting to renegotiate with the A's. But the other thing is if he goes back to Oklahoma and say he finishes first or second or third for the Heisman again, which means he had a really good year, and Oklahoma's in the national title or the playoffs again, I don't know that he ever steps foot on a baseball diamond.
That was from the Drum and Young podcast with our man, Brandon Drum, and RJ Young, who joins us now. And that is the topic of the day, the silence from Kyler Murray is deafening.
Is it now? I guess it could be, but I don't necessarily think it's. I mean, I talked about this on the podcast. It's par for the course with Kyler. Everything is up to the last minute. Everything is always understated with him, and yet we make a big deal out of it because he's the best at what he's doing.
Yeah. I would wonder. Well, again, the longer this goes on, the more it's like, wow, OU. There's a chance he stays because if you think about it, he's got three choices: it's baseball, NFL, or coming back to OU. And look, again, I think I agree with you that coming back seems the I don't know if worst option is the right word, but the one that makes the least sense.
Well, there's also a fourth option, I think, in here, and I got to go check the CBA, which is what I've basically been doing for the last 24 hours about this. But I think he could go play baseball and still play college football again the way that
he could.
Right?
100%.
So, like, that's another option in there. Depends on how much you really want to play baseball. And also, if you're playing pro baseball, Austin Kendall's getting reps, Tanner Mordecai's getting reps, and perhaps you fall behind, but we'll see. And there's nothing to say that Kyler Murray doesn't necessarily just go play pro baseball, show up in August and say, hey, Lincoln, can I have my job back? And Lincoln says, yeah, sure.
Yeah. No, he could. He definitely could go play baseball. I mean, it's been a long time, but I've known guys who have done that, who've played baseball, and then about mid-August they come back for football. That's an option. That kind of fell into the line of he could come back to OU because, yeah, he could do that and really not miss much time with the Oakland A's. But that is the interesting thing. Now, look, we talked about Alex Grinch obviously coming from Ohio State, who did struggle at times last year defensively. Now, he was not the play caller, nor was he there. He was there for 1 year as well. But, again, it is interesting. You definitely have to say it is interesting. He leaves, and then a few days after it's announced he's leaving, it's announced that Greg Schiano's not back at Ohio State. So you wonder what kind of that scenario, how that played out, because you would think if you're Ryan Day and you knew this change was coming, you would have worked hard to keep Alex Grinch. Now, look, maybe he didn't, and Grinch wanted to go anyway, but that at least is an interesting part of the backdrop as well.
No, so I thought about this too, but in my conversation with Mike Leach, one of the things that I took away from it was Urban Meyer wanted Alex Grinch. That was more his guy, just like Schiano was Urban Meyer's guy. And I think we were working under an assumption that Ryan Day wanted to keep Alex Grinch because he's the younger guy and he's the up-and-coming guy, and what he did at Washington State ain't no fluke. So, yeah, I mean, you would think you would want to keep that guy as your defensive coordinator, but maybe they just didn't have the rapport that we thought they did, and Ryan Day wants to put his stamp on the program, kind of sort of blow it up, maybe even change the way that they play ball now because he's more of a passing guy. Urban Meyer's spread to run kind of offense that we just came to know was synonymous with anything that he ran. So I'm not that surprised by it, but yeah, I would have thought you might have been able to keep him for something cheaper, and now you got two co-coordinators again who are both apparently going to call the defense. So I'm really interested to see how that works out.
When you talked with Mike Leach, did he stay on topic, or did Pirates or other goofy stuff come up?
I got a good 10 minutes about hens.
Okay.
It's great. It's going to air on the channel later tonight. There's already a story on OUinsider.com for those who want to read it.
I read the story, but I was looking to see if there was a video, so good stuff. Okay.
RJ, have you heard any late rumblings about Austin Kendall thinking about leaving?
Late rumblings? No, I mean, I think everybody's waiting on what Kyler does, but also, I got to believe that Austin Kendall is going to dip just as soon as Kyler returns because he's grad transfer now, right? And I was just thinking about this the other day. What's to stop a guy from Austin Kendall, from saying, you know what? Hey, Dana, do you need a quarterback? Now, do you want to go battle with De'Ara King? That's a different story. But I think he has options, and I think as much as we throw into Kyler Murray and what he can do and what he might be able to do, the guy with all the chips is Austin Kendall. So we're going to really be interested to see what happens if, for instance, Kyler says, hey, you know what, NFL, I will see you later, if not never. I got to believe that Austin Kendall might say deuces, just chunk it up.
Also, RJ, I wanted to ask you, I just try to do some quick research here, but I think OU signed one defensive tackle this class and 2 or maybe 3 last year. If that's correct, it doesn't seem to me like they're attacking a real problem that they have on defense.
Well, it depends on what kind of scheme you're recruiting to, right? Now, Alex Grinch didn't get to recruit this class, and I got to think that they're kind of full up on defensive tackles. We'll see, because there haven't been a whole lot of guys that they wanted to go get. Now, that said, they got defensive tackles on the depth chart right now. You got guys that you could throw out there. Q Overton. I know folks aren't really high on Troy James. You have some defensive ends that you can move inside to play 3 techniques. You could turn some guys into Quinnen Williams, like a guy like Ronnie Perkins, for instance. Maybe you blow him up by 20 pounds, move him to a 3 technique. But I'm not sure that's what you want to do, because one of the hallmarks, and again, this is getting it from Leach, one of the hallmarks of Grinch's defense is he wants to be versatile. He wants to be multiple. He wants to be able to get in and out of a different look as soon as possible. So when you're doing that, you want speed. You want guys that can absolutely fly to the football. And I know how much we just saw Clemson destroy Alabama with defensive line talent. So I don't know that that's what he's recruiting to, but we don't know yet. That's kind of the thing. And with this 2019 cycle basically done, we're not going to know until offers start going out later this year.
I wonder this, RJ, because the next conversation switched to with Grinch coming in. What other changes happen on the staff? Well, we already know that at least one spot is open with Kish. We assume that other ones will open as well. The question is, do they fill those here probably with recruiting opening back up on Friday? Do they fill these quickly, or is it one of those things where maybe they wait till after signing day to keep I don't know, they don't have a lot of recruits out there, but kind of the plan of attack for filling the staff. I would think they'd want to get the new guys in sooner rather than later, but sometimes if you're taking those guys from other places, they don't want to let them go before signing day.
Well, I also think that if you're Lincoln Riley, you have the luxury of saying, I can wait until I want to do this, because he's so good at recruiting. He's so good at closing the door, and you're basically full, right? There's a few guys that you want to get, including one highly touted offensive lineman who's going to make a visit here soon. We'll have some of that on OUinsider.com. But I think, yeah, you would want to get a guy just as soon as you could get a guy, but you're not necessarily jammed up if you don't, because the boat is basically full, and because Lincoln Riley can close without a defensive coordinator. Now he's got a defensive coordinator. What does he need? A linebacker coach or whatever coach he might get to help him out with. I think what you're going to need is that guy by spring ball. So you have 2 months, honestly, before you have to pull the trigger on that.
I told Patrick, RJ, I've been hearing some rumblings about Jerry Montgomery maybe coming back to the line. I don't know if you've heard that.
No, Dave. I haven't. I haven't heard that at all.
He might be out of a job now because the Green Bay staff, I don't know if they're going to keep him or not. But if I recall, I mean, he did pretty well when he was at OU, recruiting-wise and coaching-wise, didn't he?
Well, I mean, everybody loves Jerry Montgomery. A lot of the kids swore by him. I mean, but you also saw him get some 5-star kids that left because he wasn't there, one being Ricky DeBerry in that saga. So, yeah, if you can get him, absolutely go after him. If I would think so, but also Lincoln doesn't necessarily have that relationship with Jerry Montgomery. Right. He might have a relationship with other guys that he worked with.
RJ, great stuff as always. Appreciate the time. We'll chat with you on Thursday.
Thank you, RJ.
All right, fellas, I appreciate it. Deuces.
Yeah.